Well, there you all are, and welcome in to another Sunday afternoon here at the Six Screens Telenetwork Conference Room. Now, we are so happy to have you here with us, and I'm looking out the window. It's a rainy day up here in Boston, and it's nice and cool, but I got the window open, and I hope it's nice where you are. But, winter's going to be settling in here soon, but it's just raining. It could be snow, so that's a good thing. Well, my name's Rick Ferrin, and I am coming to you from the hub of the universe, right up here in Boston. And as I always say, the apostate capital of the world. We have so many people that are apostates up here, and I am in good company. And don't you worry. If you are saying, well, Rick, I wish I had more apostates in my neck of the woods, they're going to be there very, very shortly because the Watchtower is hemorrhaging. Yes, I'm going to use that word. I'm going to underline it. They are hemorrhaging. They are losing people left and right, and that is no joke. It's just absolutely crazy. Well, anyways, we had just talked briefly about that convention. I want to bring it up on most of these programs. We are planning for an ex-Jehovah's Witness convention, the first of its kind, and we are getting so many people writing me. It looks like, friends, I don't want to exaggerate. I don't want to try to make things bigger than they are, but it looks like we could get upwards of, I'm thinking at least 500, but it looks like I'm beginning to up the ante a little bit. I got a bunch of emails that came into the Six Screens today. Rick, count me in. Make sure I got a seat. I'm coming. And these people are coming from the United Kingdom. They're coming from all across America. So we have a convention planned. I'm not sure yet where it's going to be. It's either going to be in Chicago or it's going to be right up here in Boston. So either place, I'm not sure. We're working out. What I'm trying to do is get good hotel room rates. Some of these hotels are getting like $250 a night. It's getting up there. And, I'm trying to keep it down. It costs a lot of money to travel these days. So I'm trying to keep it down to about $129 a night, maybe. I'm really working on that. I'm working on a convention center that I'm going to rent, and we'll be able to have all these people come in from all over the world and meet with their ex-witness friends. I think it's going to be a wonderful thing. And so many people have said, count me in, Rick. So I'm thinking there could be 1,000. Yes, there could be 1,000 people. Wouldn't that be something? Would you like to be at a convention like that of people of like mind? Now, we're not going to get into any Christian preaching or anything like that. We'll have some of the Sunday programs. Some of the people from the Six Screen Sunday, they'll be there with us. And, maybe little theological thoughts on how the Watchtower messed up on theology. But nobody's going to preach to you. It's going to be mostly testimonies, mostly people who have been hurt by the Watchtower. They'll get up and we'll make sure we have a Kleenex box ready for them because they'll tell their stories on how they have been touched, as we say, by the tentacles of the Watchtower. So that's something to look forward to. And the theme, we actually have a theme for the convention, Alive in 2025. So there you have it. So, friends, Watchtower is losing the battle. Have you noticed that? It doesn't take too much to really see it. You don't have to be too internet savvy. You can watch TV. You can see all the documentaries. You can listen to radio broadcasts all over the world on how bad the Jehovah's Witness organization is. You don't have to even, go checking out some of the YouTube. You don't have to be on the Six Screens Telenetwork here. All you have to do is just keep your eyes and ears open. Read the newspaper. There's multitudes of articles about how rotten the Jehovah's Witness organization is. And, I don't want to sound really like I'm just totally disgusted with it all. But I have to tell you, I am. I am disgusted with it all. This organization has hurt so many people. So many Kingdom Halls. I'm getting people writing into me here at the Six Screens, and they're saying that their Kingdom Hall is empty. Yeah. Well, this one particular place, now I'm not going to tell you that there's empty kingdom halls all around the world, but entire families are leaving. Entire families are leaving. Watchtower's reputation is going down the drain. People are learning about the cover up, the child molesters, the pedophiles, the shunning. People are getting really tired of it all. And many, many Jehovah's Witnesses are exhausted. They are exhausted, and they're taking the path of least resistance. They can't come right out and say, I don't want to be Jehovah's Witness anymore. They know they'll be disfellowshipped, and they'll know the repercussions that come from all of that. So anyways, they're taking the path of least resistance. Now, what are you going to do? How do you take the path of least resistance if you're a Jehovah's Witness, going to the meeting for years, and all of a sudden you're finding out about all of the stuff that's going on in a bad way in the Watchtower? Well, you just don't go to the meetings, or you slowly fade away. So that's what they're doing. And not only that, do you realize how many elders are leaving? There are tons of elders leaving. They've been coming on the program. They've been writing on Reddit and on JWN, and they've been doing YouTube videos. I'm not looking through rose-colored glasses here. As a matter of fact, let me just share this with you. Do you know in the Watchtower they had these foreign language groups where they would have a congregation and they would send an English-speaking person there, and the English-speaking person would learn the language like Chinese or Spanish or whatever? Well, they're shutting them all down. That's something of the past. Those aren't. I mean, does a growing organization shut something like that down? They must see something is terribly wrong with that. No, many, many people, they're starting to say, that's it. We have had enough. And the younger people, what are you kidding me? The younger people, I mean, they aren't afraid. They are not afraid to look on these internet sites exposing the Jehovah's Witnesses. And they've had enough. They know it. They see it. Now, as the older generation dies off, well, the younger ones are not going to be staying in. Stick a fork in the Watchtower. Take them off the grill. There's nowhere they can go. They are stuck in the mud. Now, I have to tell you, and I've been doing some research on this and looking at some numbers and trying to put things together in my head. Well, what I'm finding here is the process of collapsing. That is in the Watchtower. This has been going on for years. I'm even willing to say it's been going on for decades. Now, based on the evidence, as I've been examining the annual reports for a number of years here now, I have to tell you without reservation that the Watchtower organization has been crumbling. It's been collapsing since the late 1990s, and the pace of collapse has simply increased in the last 3 to 4 years. Well, you all know that. You don't need me to tell you if you're following the world of the Jehovah's Witnesses. Watchtower saw the writing on the wall, and that would have been back in the 90s. Now, how can I make such a statement like that? How is it that the Watchtower saw the writing on the wall? Do you friends know what came about in the year 1996? In 1996, all of a sudden something opened up that we now call the internet. It was in 1996 that AOL, America Online, became the first to really allow people to message one another, to talk to one another, to create a whole new platform where things could be shared, things could be talked about. The internet is the great equalizer. We've always said that. So what you have now is people who never were able to investigate the Jehovah's Witnesses. It's now only a mouse click away. So more and more people started leaving, and they started leaving back in 1996 with the advent of the internet. Now, do you understand here I'm talking about? The Watchtower is tanking. Now, you might be living somewhere in America and you say, Rick, come on. I go to the Kingdom Hall. It's packed. What are you talking about? Well, first of all, let's talk about Northern Europe. Have you been following that? Well, I've been following it for you. Friends, Watchtower is tanking in Scandinavia. Did you know that? Well, it's pretty much a dead religion over there. Seriously. Uh, there are very few Kingdom Halls that are, in fact, no Kingdom Hall. I'm going to go on the record here to tell you, no Kingdom Hall is gaining new recruits. And most of the meetings that they have in Scandinavia, it's all older people. There's no younger ones. Now, I have to say this, that one man wrote me, gave me some information. It came into the 6 screens. Yes, he's from Scandinavia and Switzerland in particular. And he was telling me that his Kingdom Hall is being sold off. And he's all ticked off. He says, and he went to the elders and he said, why are you selling this off? And I have to now travel 80 kilometers to go to the new Kingdom Hall that his congregation is merging with. Now, that Kingdom Hall is 80 kilometers away. Do you know how far in miles 80 kilometers is? I didn't either. I had to look it up. So it's about 50, 53 miles, somewhere around there. So can you imagine traveling 50 miles plus to drive to a meeting and then drive back home again? So, well, that really is creating an issue. So, I mean, this brother is to the point he's not even thinking of going anymore. Why would you want to do this? So the Watchtower is really putting an added burden on people. But he was telling me that his Kingdom Hall, it was a good Kingdom Hall, but he says, they just closed it down, and I guess they're going to sell it off from what I gather, and he has to go 50 miles away to another meeting. And this is happening all over. It's not just this man in Switzerland, but he also was telling me that he used to go to the conventions in Switzerland, and the conventions would always have more than 5,000 people, always, he said. But as of late, these conventions that they held last summer in Switzerland, they're only bringing in a couple of thousand people. And then that's a fact as well. I have to say that's the truth. And it's not just in Scandinavia, Northern Europe. It's also right here in America. Now, I, as well as a number of people listening into the 6 screens today, I should say, they went to the protest. We had a protest up here in Lowell, Massachusetts. And we had one man go into the arena. And he came out and reported to us that there were a number of seats that were not filled, many empty seats. So, it's not just, and then I gave pictures. All during the summer, I was showing pictures here on the 6 Screens Network of conventions. People were sending me pictures, and there was so many empty seats. I mean, it was almost sad. It was almost sad to see so many empty seats because, I mean, we were all so used to seeing these seats filled. So we are seeing an organization on life support. That's right. We are seeing an organization on life support. Now, something that came across the internet this week that really, really excited me, and it should excite you, and that's the country of Japan. Boy, Japan is becoming, I'll tell you, don't talk to the government of Japan about how good the witnesses are. They're not going to agree. They right now are investigating the Watchtower. They have got a lot of bones to pick with this organization. And it's not just on child sex abuse. They're just finding that out. Japan started investigating the Jehovah's Witnesses, not on sexual abuse, but on physical abuse. Yeah, a number of ex-Jehovah's Witnesses came forward, went to the government of Japan and told the government of Japan that they were being beaten up as kids in the witness world. Young little kids. In fact, a number of them even younger than elementary school. So they would be maybe 4 or 5 years old. And now they're bringing stories to the government about how they were abused and beaten and flogged and hit with all kinds of objects. And it's terrible. And the Jehovah's Witnesses are getting this really tarnished image in Japan. And there's a number of newspaper articles. I have no no time to read them all. The Tokyo newspaper, the Asahi newspaper, TBS, a Muri paper. I mean, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right or not. FNN. I mean, we've got, I'd say, 15, 20 different newspaper articles I'm looking at. I just picked a couple here at random, but the headlines here in one of them in Yahoo News. Did you know that Yahoo News is so big in Japan? I didn't know that. I mean, Yahoo News here is nothing. But in Japan, it's their number one news source, according to what I understand. But Yahoo News was reporting that sexual assault by Jehovah's followers are now being reported to the government. So Japan, first of all, looked into the physical abuse, and now they're getting a whole mouthful of the sexual abuse in all these different newspapers. I can't read them all to you. That's just a couple samples of some of the headlines. But you know something, I came across this, and I think most of my audience will agree with me. You don't have to, though. I never force anyone to agree with me. You know that. But I think that everybody listening to this program today will at least agree with me on something that Japan is picking on the Jehovah's Witness organization for, and rightfully so. Jehovah's Witnesses have been sexualizing toddlers for decades. Let me read that headline again. Jehovah's Witnesses have been sexualizing toddlers for decades. Now, you say, well, does that have to do with pedophilia, Rick? What is that headline all about? Well, as I read into the headline, I got the real narrative of what the Japanese government's upset about. I think this is something you would be upset about too. So the Japanese government is not happy with little Jehovah's Witness kids, 3 and 4 years old, and even 5, 6 years old, young brothers and sisters. They're not happy with them sitting in a meeting and the speaker is droning on about certain sex acts. Now, that always made me feel a little gross, even a little embarrassed to sit and listen to this stuff. Now, I had 5 little children, and all of a sudden some brother gets up there and he's talking about, what type of sex you can have with your wife and what masturbation should not be done and all of this. And my kids are hearing this. And I can even remember looking at my former wife like I was in shock. Are they mentioning this at a meeting? Oh, well, maybe you thought about this too. And I mean, even on Sundays when even people from the public would come in, I can remember some Sunday discussions in the Watchtower magazines, and it would say God's view on marriage. And they'd say that they'd bring so many things up that a little child should never have to hear. I can remember in one Watchtower study that the brother got up there and it was all about the wife giving her husband the due. Now, you as an adult know what that means, right? Giving your husband due. In other words, you should be having relations with your husband. But imagine a little kid hearing this. Imagine a little 10-year-old kid hearing this, or a 4 or 5-year-old kid. Mommy, what is giving your husband the due? Boy, not that they put parents in an embarrassing situation. They put little children in embarrassing situations. And a matter of fact, do you remember some of the talks? Do you remember some of the talks that the Jehovah's Witnesses would assign to little children? I mean, a little 10-year-old kid may have been given a Bible reading assignment on Ohala and Ohalaba. Do you know anything about that? Well, I mean, it's in the book of Ezekiel, the 23rd chapter. Now, these sisters, Ohala and Ohalaba, well, they were whores. They were terrible women. They were cheating on their husbands. And that's what the whole story is about. It's a metaphor. But can you imagine a young kid? Excuse me. Let me cough here for a second. Excuse me. Can you imagine a young kid having to give a talk like that? Oh, my goodness. No, I can remember even I had to give a talk once on masturbation. I mean, it wasn't a kid, but even that was embarrassing enough. And I know there was kids in the audience. And what do you say? What do you really say? I mean, boy, I'll tell you, this stuff shouldn't be discussed at a meeting. This should not be discussed at a meeting. But I just can't imagine that this organization had no problem. They had no problem bringing this sensitive sexual stuff up at a meeting. Disgusting. So, anyways, I mean, things are happening. I'm glad to be able to report to you in case you haven't been keeping up to speed on what is going on in the organization. But what I want to bring up is in South Africa. In South Africa, the Jehovah's Witness organization is going down the tubes. Did you know that? Yeah, in South Africa, now they always claim that, oh, Africa is our last freedom stronghold. This is where we're bringing more and more people in Africa. That is a bunch of malarkey. South Africa has had enough. Now, let me tell you, now I'm going to give you some evidence here to support what I'm talking about. I'm just not going to throw this out and expect you to just believe me. But in South Africa, I got reports coming in here over the last week, a couple of reports actually, and they're telling me that the people in South Africa are waking up. They no longer want to be Jehovah's Witnesses. They are having poor attendance, poor contributions. They're selling Kingdom Halls off. And I mean, they just don't want to be Jehovah's Witnesses anymore. So a circuit overseer in South Africa is one man, one brother related to me. A circuit overseer came in and he kind of chastised the congregation. He said he's not happy with what he sees going on in Jehovah's organization. He says too many people are leaving. Now, this is in South Africa. And he kind of suggested that the governing body kind of, in his own way, was more or less saying the governing body is perhaps the ones that are causing this because of their changes in doctrine and policy and times they weren't correct with prophecy. Now, friends, I mentioned last night, the Watchtower, as we know, they send off trial balloons. Now you say, what do you mean? Well, what is a trial balloon? Well, the Watchtower has to test the area first before they say something to see how it goes over. So I believe the circuit overseer in South Africa was sending up a trial balloon. They want to see how the witnesses in South Africa are connecting with this message. Now, the message that he had to bring up, he started off by saying, there's a circuit overseer now in South Africa. He started off by saying that we're having trouble. People are leaving. And then he's mentioning there's numerous reasons why they're leaving. And he kind of suggested because of some of the things that were said by the Watchtower. Now, in particularly what? Well, how about 1975? 1975, a lot of people, they now have access to that. The Watchtower can say all they want about, well, people are running ahead. The Watchtower never said this. This is all something people made up. And that people can see it right there. I read a portion from a Watchtower last night showing you that is not the case. The Watchtower actually said that something was going to happen in 1975, and it was a real letdown. It never, ever happened. So anyways, what it was brought up about is the governing body did mention, he more or less said that they missed it on 1975. Now, this is really something, though. I don't think you're going to hear this in a lot of congregations right away. They're testing the waters with this trial balloon, as I say. They want to see how it's going to go over in South Africa before they stick their neck out. So the circuit overseer is saying that, the Watchtower did say 1975, and they now feel a little embarrassed about it. But he says the reason why they even are now addressing it, he says, is because the governing body was a little overly excited, overly anxious for Armageddon to come, so they kind of stuck their neck out and mentioned 1975. Isn't that a cop-out? Isn't that a cop-out? I mean, geez, people listening in here, their whole lives have been changed because of 1975. And now they come back, at least in South Africa, and say, well, the reason why the Watchtower said 1975 is because the governing body was overly excited and anxious about Armageddon coming. I mean, can you believe that? That is absolutely nuts. So, did you want to speak up? Go ahead. You're on with us.
Yeah, just a quick thought. I believed that 1975 was going to bring Armageddon because Jehovah's Holy Spirit told the anointed, and the anointed told the governing body. So it had to happen. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Dick. Well, it didn't happen, Dick. And I know last night you shared your story with us and how it really changed your life. That this wasn't some, little monthly difficulty for you. This changed your entire life for years to come, even till this very day with your two sons not even talking to you. So that changed your whole life. So anyways, the circuit overseer said that basically give the brothers a pass who, kind of were overly excited and mentioned 1975. And he also mentioned that, he didn't really put much credence in a date, and he's not focusing on a date. He's focusing on when we're going to be in the kingdom. See, it's a great cop out, but this is what the Watchtower does. But the thing that really flabbergasted the congregations over there, from what I can gather here, is the brother the circuit overseer went on to speak about who will be resurrected in the new system. Now, if you were one of Jehovah's Witnesses, you always knew that if you followed Jehovah's instructions and you listened to the governing body and you didn't rattle their cages, that if you died, you would come back in the resurrection. Well, now all of a sudden, the brothers in South Africa, they're hearing this new message that the Watchtower is now saying they don't know who will come back in the resurrection. And now that struck many brothers and sisters funny, according to the information that came into me at the 6 screens. Now, why would it? And I got my own feelings. I'm going to put my own spin on this, on why they would even make such a statement. Doesn't that want to make you more of a loyal witness if they don't know who's going to come back in the resurrection? Now, just think of hearing that. You're sitting in the congregation, and the circuit overseer says they don't know who's coming back in the resurrection. You say, well, wait a minute. Well, I've been studying the Bible. I'm doing everything for Jehovah. I'm as loyal as I possibly can be. And now you're telling me who's going to come back? That means I have to be more loyal. See, that's the message. I see an undercurrent of understanding here. I feel that is the message that's being sent out to the witness world right now. Now that message is also starting to regurgitate in some American congregations. They're saying they don't know who's going to come back in the resurrection. That's going to make you work harder to be a good, loyal Jehovah's Witness. Isn't that something, friends? I mean, this Watchtower has hurt a lot of people, and the Watchtower, the leaders, the Watchtower leaders know they are misleading people. But more importantly, the members should realize that they are being manipulated and deceived. But they don't. They don't know they're being manipulated. The members don't know they're being deceived. Did you know that when you were a staunch, loyal Jehovah's Witness? No. So that's why we try to help them. That's what we do here at the 6 Screens. That's what all of the other people, Mike and Kim, and all of these other people on YouTube, and all of these people writing in posts on Reddit, we're all trying to help them to get out of this organization. 615, come on, you're on with us.
Hey, Rick.
Yes.
Yeah, sorry, I lost my thought and I was waiting. I was hoping you wouldn't call me. What were we talking about again? So we'll spark it back up.
We were talking about the organization is now saying, now not everywhere yet, it's a trial balloon. They're now saying that they don't really know who's coming back in the resurrection.
Are you talking about the Part B that's coming out in January of the governing bodies thing, whatever they call it?
Yes, yes.
The new light.
They're going to do.
One thing that I haven't heard you talk about yet, too, is in that talk, they were saying that also that you can repent at the last moment, that you can come back. So if you rejected the witnesses and then you see that they're God's chosen people through the Great Tribulation, now that is another part of the understanding in this talk that that anybody can, it's up to Jesus and God, basically, that anybody can repent at the last moment and recognize them as God's one and true religion. So I thought of like someone like Selena, what's her name, the tennis player, who basically did that already. She got to live her life. And then this is going to cause, if they release this to the public, this is going to cause a lot of division to the old timers that go, I was here this whole time pioneering when it was 150 hours. I don't know if there's any more of those left, or 90 hours. I gave everything, and now this person can just waltz right in. I think it's going to cause a lot of issues, Rick.
Yeah, but I didn't really see that as a monumental change. I'll have to hear more on it when it comes out. And then the reason why I say it, I mean, all of us know that, if we were Jehovah's Witness and we left the organization, that even if we left, as long as we came back in before Armageddon, we would be all right. I mean, that's something that I always realized that. I mean, in fact, I wasn't
taught that in my generation as a witness.
Is that right?
You had to be a witness. Yeah. In fact, when I was disfellowshipped the first time, I would ask people what happened. Like, I was trying to get reinstated the first time, and I'd say, what happens if I'm disfellowshipped and I don't make it? And they're like, well, that here you are making the meeting, so I'm sure Jehovah will read your heart. But it was to all of us in Rhode Island in the 90s and the 2000s. You had to be a Jehovah's Witness. In fact, there was a governing body talk, and I don't know if you remember this when you were in, but not just the governing body, but also circuit overseers and district overseers, they would record their talks. And there was a talk saying that when the Great Tribulation came, and then soon Armageddon, if you had that, and it was a black brother, he'd go, if you have that earring in your ear, and he's from the South, you ain't going to make it. It's too late. You can't take it out. Too late. You are who you are. That was our common beliefs with the witnesses. That's how I grew up.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. But I used to hear witnesses say years ago that, well, I can go out in the world and play around and do the things I want to do. And then what I will do is I will come back right before Armageddon. So I heard that before, but
that too. But I guess it just shows the holes in their belief system.
Yeah, yeah. So it's amazing though that the Watchtower is really changing a lot of things. They really are beginning to realize that there's a lot of things that just have not worked for them as of late. So they're going to have to make the changes right now, and they're doing it, Eric. But hey, listen, by the way, you did a very good job last night on the program, and we ended it on YouTube, but I was listening in on the telephone line last night. I really enjoyed how you can impersonate people. I thought that was wonderful. Would you
did you hear me, do you?
Did you? Well, no, I didn't hear me, but I heard Donald Trump, and do me too. But do Donald Trump for the audience. Go ahead.
No, I'm not that good at. I got to work on Donald.
You're gonna work on it.
I'll do you real quick.
All right.
I'll do you real quick. And hey, it's always out of love when I impersonate.
I know that.
But well, hello everyone. Welcome to JW World News, the news that Watchtower doesn't want you to hear. Yeah. So isn't it awesome, everybody? Yeah. Watchtower's thinking. They're thinking shit. And isn't it awesome? I'm glad, guys. And we got the duck up here, and if you say the magic word, it's gonna drop $20 for you. Love you, brother.
Well, they love the duck. They love the duck.
I do too. I think it's a great little gimmick.
Radio
shows always have that, so I think it's a cool touch.
Yeah, no, you gotta have a gimmick, because something. It would be too boring, right? You got to have a little gimmick, a little something. But I'll tell you what, people, I'm getting good reports. People coming in today and writing about they liked the program we did last night. So keep up the good work, Eric. Thank you.
All right, buddy. You have a great day. And hey, if I could just leave on a note, since it's Sunday.
Yeah.
I think God is messing up the Watchtower. I really do. I think he's had enough of them using his name, even if it's not Jehovah. Let's just say he accepts that version of his name. Wouldn't he be ticked off if somebody was using a nickname of mine, but they were talking about me and using it all the time, or my name? Wouldn't you get aggravated being slandered for so long? Because the way I see it, the Watchtower making so many changes that they don't even know what they're doing. The chariot that they call, the wheels have broken off and the horses are dragging it around. They don't have a direction. I mean, they're saying the most stupid things. And I feel like God's just like, for the first time, he's influencing the governing body, but he's it's like these scriptures that say, get out of her, my people, you know, these scriptures that tell us that if you don't want to share in their sins and plagues. I really do think that it's time to bail out a Watchtower because they're full of sins and plagues. But thanks, Rick. I've done enough talking.
Well, no, in fact, thank you very much for bringing that up. But I think the same thing at times. I say, you know something? I wouldn't want to be these guys. And the Bible speaks about anyone who deliberately messes up or plays with the scriptures. The Bible specifically says if you add to or take away, you got a special place. There'll be a bigger millstone around your neck. And I feel the same way. Yeah. I don't want
to be around them in judgment day.
No, well, I don't want to be anywhere near them, right? Because here's the thing. And that's not the average rank and file Jehovah's Witness. I'm going to cut them some slack, and I'm sure even God will put them in a special position in his way of doing business. But the people who are deliberately messing up people's minds on purpose with this counterfeit religion of theirs, counterfeit Christian religion of theirs, they're going to have a bigger millstone around their neck. I'll tell you that right now, Eric. Yes.
They sure are. And to conclude, they're nothing but a bunch of losers. These covenant body members are still blind leading the blind. All right, everyone. God bless America. That's still gonna work out.
Well, no, that's a little bit. No, I told Susan today, did really good for Donald Trump. Really good. Thank you, Eric. Well, that's our good friend Eric. He's down there in Tennessee, originally from Rhode Island, but he has his own program, and he was on last night. So why don't you join Eric? He'll be on 2 weeks. 2 weeks from 2 weeks from last night. So looking forward to his next program. All right, so let's see what else is going on behind the curtains of the Watchtower. Hey, we got the Christian Court coming up in about 8-10 minutes. You don't want to miss that. Now, don't head for the mountains because you hear the word Christian. Why don't you join us on the Christian Court? This is a place where we have 2 Bible scholars come in, and I'm there as well asking questions. And we have questions that we ask the scholars. Now, these questions are not going to keep you out of the kingdom for the most part. These aren't questions that... these are peculiar Christian questions, like is it what we're going to be talking today? Should a Christian gamble? Last week we talked about should Christians smoke. We talked about when do you know if you're becoming materialistic? Stuff like that is what we talk about. It's not going to keep you out of the kingdom, but it's something you might want to listen to. That's coming on. That's coming on next. All right. It looks like we got 602. That's our good friend Gilbert. Did you want to say something, Gilbert?
Well, yeah, I'll answer that question if a Christian can gamble. Leslie Nielsen said when they asked him, are you a gambling man? And he says, every time I eat out. Yeah, you take a gamble with your life every time you eat out. But yeah, so I answered that question. But Rick, I just wanted to say, I'm so pissed off because that video that you played yesterday with the 2 kids, and that just rubbed me the wrong way, and I don't think you should let that video die. And I'm telling you that anybody who makes JW videos, apostate videos, they should just rake the coals, over the governing body for abusing those 2 children. It was so disgusting for me to watch, and I'm glad you put it on. I mean, I went in and watched it again today. Your video, and I could tell that you were sickened by it too, and you didn't play the whole thing. But I don't think we should. I think we should bring that. You should keep that alive because. It's so wrong, Rick, on so many levels.
Well, let me just play a little clip of it right now for some of those that are listening into our network. I'll play the little clip right now. Listen, now, this what Gilbert is talking about this man, I believe he's a governing. Do you know who this man is? Is he one of the governing body? I'm not sure. I think he's a helper. But anyways, he's got two little young Jehovah's Witness boys there. They can't be any more than 10, maybe even 9. But let's listen in. And this is disgusting. Let's listen in. Hold on. Well, I guess we can't, but I'm going to at least, it's up. You can see it, I believe, if you're on the 6 screens, but you can see the picture of what I'm talking about here. Let me just see if that's up. All right. So there it is. You see that picture. That's an official of the Watchtower, and he's there with 2 little kids. And the little kid there, it looks like a little Spanish kid. My goodness gracious, he's got like a tailored suit on. Now, to the witness, that doesn't look like anything unusual. But can you imagine someone just watching that? They'll say, it's child abuse. And what this brother is doing with these 2 little kids in the video from jw.org is he's showing them how you really shouldn't be involved in sports or extracurricular activity. You shouldn't want to be playing video games. You want to spend all of your time for Jehovah. And it's tantamount to child abuse, Gilbert. You're right.
Yes. And I want to tell you one thing, because Jesse and I are going to talk about this today. This is why it's so important to be a good listener. Jesus says, pay attention to how you listen. He didn't say to be a thinker. He didn't say to research. And I'm not knocking anybody on that. What I'm trying to say is, if we just slow down and listen to these words that Watchtower is using, they're evil, because that guy said that playing sports, music, are non-essential. In the year 2023 that we live in, non-essential because of COVID is when they shut everybody down. Watchtower is an extension of the New World Order. They have it on their Bible, the New World Translation. They are making love to the United Nations. And they're using words, they're weaponizing words, because when you were Jehovah's Witness, the truth meant you were a member of the Watchtower. See, they weaponize words. So these kids are thinking non-essential, non-essential, non-essential. And so then when they shut down your business, when they shut down your school, it's non-essential, it's non-essential. This is what I'm saying about listening. Watchtower uses the same language of the most evil people in the political realm of today. And it's not a coincidence. I keep telling people there are no such things as coincidences. It's not a coincidence that Watchtower is using the exact same language as these very evil institutions, because they're weaponizing words. And that's why I say slow down and listen, because from the abundance of the heart of these men, they have told you that they're in love, not with God, not with Jesus. They're in love with the United Nations. They're in love with the political winds of the day. That's just I know that's heavy, Rick, but I'm so glad you talked about this video, and I just think everybody should just beat Watchtower over the head with this video. It's so disgusting.
Well, you don't sound like you're off topic here too much or anything. I think what you're saying is you're right on. Gilbert, you're a good man. Don't you ever change. Thank you for coming and being with us. Appreciate it. Good man. Well, that's our good friend Gilbert Gonzalez out of Arizona. Well, we have been having a good time here on a Sunday. Yes, go ahead. Who's this, Fran?
Yeah, this is Fran. Oh, Joe's right here.
Yes.
How are you?
Excellent.
Good. You're sounding it. We enjoyed your program last night. We were listening. Lots going on. A lot is happening.
Oh, yes. More than we think.
I know. We're finding people every day coming out, and actually, we just had someone today from South Kenya that texted us, and the other day from Uganda, and I think there was another one from another African, at least 3 people from African countries.
Wow. That's excellent. And then they get now in Africa too. Now Africa has been the stronghold for the witnesses. At least that's what they tell us. But things are happening there. People are moving out too.
Yeah, Joe talked to a fellow from Uruguay. I don't know if I said that. And so they're coming out in droves. Very encouraging.
Yes, it is, Fran. It's very encouraging. But you guys have been encouraging, and people have been
Well,
yeah,
thank
yeah.
you.
Well, I mean that you guys have been very encouraging, and you're helping a lot of people, and it's all working. Now, all of a sudden, all of our efforts. Isn't it nice to see that all of the efforts that we've all put forward, are now starting to come to fruition? Good job.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Oh, we
Fran.
just want, yeah, the reason why I called is we have a website now. Shauna, Vern's wife, Shauna, helped us put it together, and it's called xjwfriends.com. And anybody can go there, and we're going to have like announcements, meetups, just different things that we can keep people connected. And one of the things is the 2025 convention, because someone asked if we could kind of coordinate that. And we said, well, maybe there's someone, because we're really busy, maybe there's someone that can coordinate like rides and everything. So by area. So that's on the website.
Excellent. Now well, I'll tell you, it's unreal the amount of people that have been writing to me, and they all want to come in. So many people from the United Kingdom. So I'm putting all this together. Next Saturday night, I'll be able to announce where we are having it, and it's either going to be here in Boston or Chicago. I'm leaning more to the Boston. I'm leaning more to the Boston, not just because I live here, but for room rates and what have you. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But we have a lot of people that yeah, so we're looking forward to that. I'm just trying to find out how many people. I'm trying to put it together because I got to book a room. But I'm thinking we'll have a minimum of 500. Now I could be wrong. I mean, don't even hold me hostage, but it could go higher than that. So I want to get one of these. Yeah, I want to get one of these convention centers where they have petitions where you can open it up more. So I'm having people just write me. You don't have to make a commitment, but if you think you can make it, just let me know and we'll reserve a seat for you because it'll be first come, first serve. If we get over the 1,000 people, I don't know what we'll do with them all, you know? So you have to, you so, but everyone seems to be interested, so it's good. Yeah.
It's working. It really is working. Yes.
Weird.
And we're in. Joe and I are in.
Well, I'll put,
Yes, put us down. And, we were like the last minute to come to, to Washington, D.C. It wasn't until what's the brother's name? What is it? Well, MJ, but the other, Justin. When Justin was on with you,
yeah.
and Joe and I looked at each other and we said, we should really go. We're close enough. We really should go and support the group. And we're so glad we did. So we did that at the last minute. So I'm going to say that people would come to the convention even at the last minute if they can, because that's another year and a half away.
Well, there you go. No, we got people already writing in. I mean, I'm thinking this is going to be very successful. But I mean, it could be a bomb too. I don't know, but
Well, I think it's going to be successful. And it does seem appropriate that we have it in Boston, the apostate capital of the world.
Well, it's true. This is the apostate capital. Well, it all looks good. In fact, even on our website, we have that under construction, but we'll be able to coordinate it all on there too. And we're going to try to put as many specifics as we can, what the hotel costs are, what the food costs are, all of that. So people won't have any, what the parking would be, if there is any parking fees. So all of these things I'm taking into consideration. So this week I got to go out and meet with a couple of hotels here in the state and talk about a convention. So it's going to be good.
Wow.
It's going to be good.
Well, very good. Well, you're doing a lot, Rick, and we really appreciate it.
Well, it's good. We're all doing a good job. We're all building each other up, and we all feel good about it, don't we? Thank you, Fran and Joe.
Yes, you're welcome. Yes, you're very welcome. We'll talk soon.
All right. Thank you. Well, we are going to, one more. We got time for one more thought here. I guess that's Dick. Go ahead, Dick.
That's it. Thank you, Rick. My thought is that if fixed screens wasn't being blessed, it would have been shut down a decade ago. And I'll just throw my bid in for Boston. I'll join Fran. I'm for Boston.
We'll go with Boston. I'll put you guys down for Boston. All right. Thank you, Dick. Thank you. Well, we are going to the Christian Court program. Don't leave us. I know you hear the word Christian and you head for the mountains. Stay with us. We've got some great things on the docket today. Should a Christian gamble? Well, what do you think? I mean, did you buy a lotto ticket? Did you ever pull a slot machine? Can a Christian do that? Well, we're going to be discussing that along with 3 other questions on the docket. So don't go anywhere. And I want to thank you all for coming into JW World News Sunday edition. And may I say this, the last one, leaving the Watchtower, please turn off the new light. Stay with us. We still have 2 more programs to go here on 6 Screen Sunday. Thank you for joining in with us.